Hey guys, it's Kevin and welcome to another short video that I have created for Cinema4D on how to create this type of image right here. It's a pretty cool effect where it's got all of these metal bars coming out. They kind of look like nails, and so I did this to create some really cool text effects, and I want to show you how I can do that in Cinema4D. It only takes a few minutes. It's a really fun thing to do. So let me go and show you how to do that. Let's go ahead and dive right into Cinema4D. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right in. We are in Cinema4D, and the first thing I want to do is just go ahead and create a nice little background. I am using Redshift as my render engine, and so we have a little preview down here at the bottom right so we can see what it looks like. But let's go ahead and set up our background. And so I have an extension by Grayscale Gorilla called Light Kit Pro. It's really helpful, but I'm just going to go ahead and grab one of these in here, and it's just really nice so you can be able to put your objects into the scene and they're already lit pretty well. So let me just zoom out so you can see, like, we have these little lights up here and there's a little surface for them to sit on, and so that's pretty helpful. So we'll just have that, but you can use any light setup that you want. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to do a Mo graph, and we want to do Mo text. And so what we're going to do is we're going to type in a word. And so I was just playing around with some different concepts here, and I wanted to do one with the name Jesus, and then we're going to have, like, it kind of looks like nails. And so I think that would be pretty cool there. It's a little bit too big here, so we just want to make our size just a little bit smaller, like 100 pixels is fine, or 100 centimeters is fine, and we'll just make sure it's right on top of this surface. So something like that looks pretty good. And then I want to change my horizontal spacing just a little bit, just to get the letters just a little bit closer together, something kind of like that, because they're eventually going to be touching each other, so I want them to be pretty close. And then we'll just go and make our size just a little bit bigger, since the letters are closer together. Okay, something like that is good. We're going to leave this mode text like it is, though, so we can always go back and change the font and all that stuff, and we can change the spacing if we want to. But this is a good start so far. All right, now what we want to do is we want to go to Mo graph again, do Voronoi fracture. There you go, and let's go ahead and put our Mo text into here, just like that. And so now we have a nice fracture material. I do want to go to my sources, though, and for my point generator, let's just scroll down here. It's got point amount at 20, and that's fine, but I'm going to change it up to about 80. I think 80 might be okay. Again, we can go back and change it later. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a matrix, and so right here, get a matrix, and then our matrix for the mode, it's not going to be grid, it's going to be object. And the object that we want to turn into a matrix is this Voronoi fracture. So go ahead and drag in Voronoi fracture to our object, like that. And you see we have a bunch of chaos here. We have little spots everywhere. You can see, like, all of these little spots, these little blocks that are going everywhere. And so we can change the size of it later if we need to, but right now just at 20 is fine. I know it looks like a mess, but we'll fix that in a second. Now what we want to do is we want to trace all of these blocks together. So we see all of these little white blocks in here. We just want to trace them and put little connectors between the two blocks, or between all the blocks. So again, we're going to go up here and click on Tracer, and our tracer is going to be our the trace link is going to be our matrix. Now I can go down here and try to make our Voronoi fracture invisible so we're not seeing that. And then what we want to do is make sure that the trace paths here is going to be connect all objects, so you can see that. And want to make sure that these matrix, let's go away. There we go. So now our Voronoi fracture is invisible. Our matrix, all those blocks are invisible, but it's tracing all of those blocks together. So let me just go ahead and zoom in real quick. You can't see this on the render view because these are just lines. There's nothing on them. It's a pretty cool effect, but there's like no geometry here. And so since there's no geometry, we're going to have to add some geometry. The best way to do that is through a sweep. So let's go to our sweep, and we're going to make a circle. So we have a sweep right here. Let's go ahead and grab a circle, and I'm going to change that circle Well, that's a huge circle, 200 centimeters. That's way too big. We want it much smaller, like 0.5 centimeters for now, which is pretty small. And then for the sweep, what we want to do is we want to have that circle inside of the sweep, and we want to have our tracer right below the circle. So essentially what's going to happen is the circle is going to be sweeping through everywhere that there is a tracer line. So let's put that in there. There we go. So we have our sweep with a circle goes first and the tracer goes second. And so you can see our effect right here. It looks pretty cool so far. So let me go ahead and just zoom in and see what we've got. So I think that looks pretty good like that, actually. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a redshift material. So let's go to create down here and redshift material. Let's go ahead and drag this on our sweep. And then I'm going to change the preset for the redshift material. I'm just going to change it to, we'll just change it to iron. I think iron could be okay. And our reflection, I'm going to go up just a little bit, 0.2. Okay, you can play with whatever material you want. You may want a different material, but yeah, that's how you do it right there. That's essentially how you add this really cool effect. Now the cool thing is, since we've got all of the, we haven't made it anything editable. Everything is still able to go in to adjust it. So we can go in, for example, to our matrix down here, and we had it at 20 earlier, but we can go ahead and add more if you want to, and it's going to add more of these little spikes going everywhere. They kind of look like nails, and so I really like this effect. It looks like just a bunch of nails all together, and I really like it. It looks pretty cool. But you can also, and we could do just a few if you wanted to. If you just wanted to do a few for your count, that looks kind of abstract as well. But I like the I like doing more, like 50 in this case. And then what we want to do is you can also go down to your Voronoi fracture, and where it has your source. Remember we had it to 80 earlier. You can do more than that. You could do like 200 and see how that looks. Actually, it didn't make much of a difference, did it? So yeah, actually, if you go the opposite direction, it has a different effect on it as well. So something to play around with, you know, whichever direction you want to go with. I'm just going to leave it at 80 for now. I think that looks pretty cool. But another thing you can do is go to Motext, and I'm going to actually slide these letters closer together. So let's just go ahead and start bringing these letters closer in together. And they're like on top of each other, touching each other. They're just kind of like this big old jumbled mess of metal. And so I think that looks pretty interesting. Let's make sure we don't do it too much. But something like that, yeah, I think that looks good. Very abstract, very, very different. And then one more thing we can do is you can go back up to your circle. If you don't like 0.5, you can go higher. So if we were to do like 2 centimeters, for example, now you just got a huge mess of metal, but it still looks kind of cool, you know? So you could just play around with your different sizes here, maybe like 0.75, something like that. I think that looks pretty good. But yeah, that's a fun way to make some really cool abstract art just using your matrix and your tracer, and just a really neat effect. And make sure you have a nice reflective material like the iron, or you can use aluminum or any one of these presets. These are in Redshift, or you can use the basic standard render engine as well. But that's all I got for today. Just a quick tutorial in Cinema 4D. Hope that you enjoyed this quick tip, and I look forward to see what you guys can create. But until the next video, happy creating, and I'll see you again very soon.